Good morning, everyone. We are here to show you the news of SOLIDWORKS 2022 this morning. And thank you, everyone, for attending. We, both me and my colleague Thomas, we are ready from Norway to go through a selection of what is new in 2022. This version was actually released to the public on Monday night, I think. So it is actually available for downloading as we speak, if you haven't noticed already. So for those of you who want to see what's new right now, you can actually download it. So let's take a look at just a couple of words about the two of us. We have been working in this company for quite a while. Before PLM Group, we were in Pronor, and we are serving the Norwegian market from Norway and also the Icelandic market. Thomas, how are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm fine. Ready to do some what's new in SolidWorks 2022.
We have two different parts. We are first going to speak about subscriptions. We are going to speak about the news, starting with the user experience. We are taking a look at part modeling, assembly performance, and assembly features. We're going to take a little tips and tricks session. Maybe there are some things there that you don't know from before. We are going to show you some news in drawings, take some questions and answers before we take a short break. We are going to, in part two, we are going to look at some improvements in import, improvements on graphics, and a couple of nice things in administration. There are a few new things in how you set up these admin images that you might use. We are going to look at visualize, routing, electrical, something in simulation, which is some nice news there, a little bit about flow, some plastics, and then we round off with PDM at the end. And then we take a look at 3D experience. And then we'll take a new questions and answer session before we round off. So that's the two parts. We are, I think we should just start right away. Before we start, we have to show you our new logo. We have a new visual identity. Company name is the same. And this is our new logo, which is, I think it has been out for a couple of days now. And our web page, plmgroup.no or .eu, is also updated with this new visual identity, as well as some other new things. So this is our new logo. Hope you like it. Along with a new logo, we also have some new employees, and they will work. Maxim and Rory, they will work with support in SolidWorks, do training for SolidWorks. They just started and they have been going through some extensive onboarding, and we're looking forward to be able to use them as well to strengthen our support services. And also Maxime Chanyo, he is employed as a technical specialist for CATIA. So please welcome these 3 new employees. We are going to look a little bit at subscription, Thomas.
Why should we have a subscription? The obvious reason is that you might need the possibility to upgrade SolidWorks from time to time. You will have access to all the service packs, the fixes for SolidWorks, and you also have the new versions, the yearly new version, which was released now on Monday. And of course, you have access to our great support. If you have some issues with SolidWorks or installation or something, you either write to SolidWorks. It will mean that you type it to PLM Group support. You can call us, you can reach us on our webpage, and you will get help within reasonable time. Included products, if you have subscription, you will have Visualize on your professional or premium license. You can create realistic pictures. You have also access to SolidCam, which is it's a 2.5 axis milling program. If you have a mill in your workshop, you can create some 2.5 axis programs for it. My SolidWorks, this is the site where you can go in to get knowledge base. You have link from it. You need to log into another page to get this knowledge base, but it's the link from My SolidWorks. You have possibilities to find training. You have a possibility to find certifications. You have 2 certifications included in every license. So you will have access to a lot of customers and also custom created parts from this My SolidWorks site. All included if you have subscription. So Lars?
All right, thank you, Thomas. We are, I think we are going to have a couple of polls, isn't that right, Sarah? Sarah Thorne is with us. She is managing the technical stuff with this webinar. We are very happy to have her here. You cannot see her, but she is here. And we will take a little poll, and you can see the poll now on your screen. So we would like to know, how did you find out about this event? Was it through a newsletter or mail? Is it through social media that you got to know this event? From a colleague, from an employee in PLM Group, or another method or way? So a lot of people are answering already. I think it's a split between social media and from a colleague. That's interesting to know for us. So thank you for participating in these polls. We are running a second question. What do you work with? Is it engineering, R&D? Is it IT, teaching, or something else? These polls help us to know a little bit more about who you are and what you work with. So it's interesting for us to know. And I think it's a split, quite even split between engineering and R&D. All right, thank you very much for participating. We are moving on. We're going to look at the news in 2022. So before we start, I have to say that this is selection of the news. So we're not showing you all the news. We are taking a selection of what you think is the most important stuff. But the full detail of what is new is documented in this What's New document that follows the installation. So we are going to start off with some news in the user experience area of SolidWorks. So more precisely the things that you actually see and click on your screen. So this webinar, we are centering on this submersible assembly. And in this case, we're going to insert some thrusters in this submersible. And a very nice way to quickly find the command is this S button. But the news now is that you can actually type in a search in this S button toolbar. And you can have SolidWorks find the command for you. We move on to coordinate systems. Coordinate system is not a new thing in SolidWorks, but it has been hugely redesigned in 2022. So now you can insert a coordinate system with precise position and orientation, which will help to precisely place these thrusters in the submersible. So some of the new things with this coordinate system is that you can actually use the planes and axis of this coordinate system to place things, mate things. You can use it as a starting point for a sketch, or you can use it for a starting point for a selection plane, as this section plane, as you see here. So it has a lot more use. So this is quite a big new thing for those who are modeling, I would say. We will mirror these thrusters over to the other side, and so that's a coordinate system. Here and there in the interface, you have these bubbles, as you can see, which gives you more information about different aspects of the interface. And also in the list of dismissed messages, you can get more information about what the dismissed message actually says, which is quite useful. These colored panel, they are now colored, not new messages, but they are redesigned and they are more like visible because of this color coding. Pack and Go has got a nice improvement in that it says actually what it is doing. It has a progress bar. For those big Pack and Go runs, you can get more information about what is going on. So these are some news in the user interface of SolidWorks, which will let you be more effective and work more conveniently with SolidWorks. All right. So over to you, Thomas.
Yes. Then we are going to look at parts hybrid modeling. Hybrid modeling, how do we search slots, bidirectional draft, pack and go references, section plane and axis, section plane on axis, stud wizard, and configuration properties. So I show you the model. What we are going to do is to look at this valve. It needs to be updated design to get the correct looks inside this submersible. So I open the part and we are going to work with this one. This is a BREP mesh model imported. We can see that we have 3 bodies, and we can now work with this even if it's a mesh model as normal in SolidWorks as we can. Start with adding a chamfer, for example 2 millimeters. Like this. I can extrude. I will use the new S key that Lars talked about, and I can search, or I can find my feature directly here. 0.5 and OK. Now we can see that we have extruded the logo. The next thing is to create a slot. We need to have something that we can lock this one to this hole in the bracket. So I will create a plane. Then we will create a hole wizard feature, and I will use the new slot. I can choose what kind of dimension, if I want the center or the full length, and also the end conditions here. So the position now will be on this surface. One moment. I will try to pick that one first. A bit struggling here. Let's do it correctly. And I can turn it using my tab key. Okay, like this. The next thing I want to do is to have a 2-directional draft. Let's see now. We will create a new plane. And on this plane, we will create a split line. And then we can add the draft. Using draft in both directions. Directional pull, parting lines is this one. And we can see that we are getting it okay. 3 bodies. We need to separate these bodies to create the parts. I can say save bodies. We save the bodies. And the next is then to use pack and go. So I can pick what kind of part that I want to send to the manufacturer to create the part. This is new in SolidWorks. It keeps track of the bodies inside the model. If we are going to work with the handle like this one, we now have a new way to use the section view. I can select a cylindrical face and I can click on section view and we will get the section view. If we are going to work with, let's say, prototyping, I will open this part and I can see that we have threads on this one. Threads are really good when we are creating a 3D printed model, but if I'm putting this thread into the model and I have a lot of threads with the helix, it would be a really heavy model. So I want to suppress the thread. And I will use the new stud feature to create the new threads on it. I pick the thread that I want to have, and we can also include the undercut. So now I will have a good visible thread on the model, which doesn't create any complications regarding size. New is also the tab in the property manager, which are the properties summary. We have the configuration properties. This is null. We know this one. And the new property summary means that I can add different numbers to the part if I want to. I can have the machine part as 24 and I can have the prototype as 25. This will come in handy in the BOM later. So that was all I had for this moment. I will put it back to Lars.
Thank you very much, Thomas. All right, let's move on with the next topic, which is assembly performance. You have some news there with how especially larger assemblies behave in SolidWorks. So this submersible assembly is actually quite large. It is like 6,000 components. We can open it in Large Design Review. That's nothing new in particular. You will get this message about what is possible to do with this assembly when you open it, and SolidWorks will start open it. The new thing is that Large Design Review opens quite a lot faster in this version than it did before. So in 13 seconds, you have the assembly opened. So I don't know the specs of this particular PC. This will vary, of course, with different files and different PCs. The new thing with the Large Design Review is that you can open the drawing of the assembly right from the assembly. And the drawing is actually just a special type of 3D model, actually. So it also takes a while to open a large drawing of a large assembly. So in this case, still not really long time. It will open in 21 seconds. We have now opened this drawing in the detailing mode. So you can do a lot of things here. You can add dimensions. You can insert bombs, cut lists, etc. So detailing mode is quite a convenient way to work with large drawings. You can also open a sub-assembly with Large Design Review directly from the top assembly. It's not common to work with only one assembly at a time, right? So if you have a big assembly, you can go both to the drawing and to the sub-assembly quite conveniently and stay in Large Design Review mode. So that's this will make it easier to work with large files. I hope you like that. So that's the news within assembly performance. So the next topic is assembly features.
Okay, assembly features. We have some new assembly features. We have a possibility now in configurations. When I create a configuration, you will get a new configuration table, show table. This table will include the components that you have in the assembly, and when I create new component or new assembly, it will be possible to check what kind of parts or sub-assemblies I want to see in my new created configuration. I can also search in the custom properties, like the one that I was talking about in previous session. We can now go to the number and I can add numbers for the configurations. And this will be convenient in a boom later on. So now I have created a new configuration. I have, of course, the new configuration listed there. And if I suppress or hide something from this view now, it will also be updated in the table. So if I go in and show table now, I will see that the component I hidden or suppressed is now suppressed in the table. So if I switch back to my full system, we are now going to look at some mates. We have quick mates. Quick mates, how do I find quick mates and so on? I will tell you in just a few seconds, but first we are showing the new move with triad function. If I mark a component in the history tree, I will see that I get a triad. So now I can easily move it in the directions I want to move it, and I can rotate it using degrees to get the correct or best possible way to put it in. Then we have the quick mate. I push down my control button, mark the surface, and the surface I want to mate it to. When I let control button go, I will get this menu saying that I can mate coincident, I can flip it, and I can mark it OK. I will now make it concentric. I will lock the rotation and I will confirm this. If you don't see this flip and lock key, it's on the customize, and you need to turn on the show OK button. Pattern. I'm going to put this hardware into all the pattern I have already created. So using the S key, I will search for the correct menu and I will add the hardware and I will add the pattern. And now I can pick any instance inside the pattern to get the correct amount of parts inserted to that pattern. It will find the seed component and do everything for you. Okay. Next one, I can pull out a part. I can mate. Flip the rotation, lock the rotation. Okay, and I can. And we will take this component and add it to the previous made hole pattern. So there are some improvements working with mates and patterns in SOLIDWORKS 2022.
All right, thank you very much. We are, I think actually we're going to have a little poll again before we move on. So I hope you're ready. We are now asking, how many years have you been working with SOLIDWORKS? Have you been working 0 to 1 year, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 6 years, 6 to 10 years, or more than 10 years? SOLIDWORKS has been available quite some time, so maybe some of you have been working more than 20 years. Maybe you would like to know how long. There are actually quite a few people who says they have been working more than 10 years. Oh wow. All right. Thank you very much. So do you use the S key shortcut menu today? This S key on the keyboard that shown by Thomas. Yes, no, or sometimes. There might not be all SOLIDWORKS users who are aware of this nice little function. It's one of the functions that makes it work quicker actually with SOLIDWORKS. And I think it's 50-50 split between no and sometimes. So, well, that's great. Thank you very much for participating. We are moving on. The next thing we are going to look at is, I think we're going to look at some tips and tricks. And for this tips and trick, we are first taking a look at SOLIDWORKS. So here at my screen you can see a little assembly. This has nothing to do with this submersible assembly, by the way. This is a motorhome, or what you call it in English. Yeah, motorhome, and it's an assembly there. And what I was planning to show you now is this performance evaluation. It's a very nice function that you can use in SOLIDWORKS on your assemblies to make sure that they behave and you can work smoothly with them, as smooth as possible. So under the Evaluate tab, and you will find the performance evaluation button. So if I click that there, I can see that there are a couple of checks that I can go through to see that everything is in order in my assembly. At the bottom, you can see that the total number of components is so and so, and you get some raw data about your the parts and components that are in the assembly. But towards the top, you can see that there are a lot of these warning signs, and some of these warning signs, they're not really critical warnings that you need to pay attention to, but it's just a little note for you to check if there could be something there. So for instance, what it says is that 40 of my 235 documents that are in this assembly is in an old version of SOLIDWORKS. They have not been updated to the current version, which might be yeah, putting down my performance. I'm going to focus a little bit on the graphics triangles. These graphics triangles, they are, as you probably know, on top of each parametric model in SOLIDWORKS, you have a mesh model, which is actually what is shown on screen. It's what the program uses to calculate the shading so that everything looks correctly. And these graphics triangles, they can be quite numerous, and they will put down the performance if they are at a too high level. Especially imported parts can get a really high number of triangles, and I want to limit the number of triangles. So the number of triangles in this case is not really high. So 71,000 is not really a lot, but if I had a couple of million, for instance, I would definitely take a closer look at this. But I'm just going to demonstrate this, how I can what I can do to limit the number of these graphics triangles. So for instance, in this case, I have a USB outlet, which is actually this small little part here. This is an imported part, and it's in my assembly just for reference, basically. So I'm not manufacturing it, but I need the model there for size reference, and so that it looks the way it should. So this model I can actually open up from here by pressing this button here. It will actually open in the background, so I have to control tab in the background to see it. I can see that it has some configurations. It has 2 simplified configurations, and if I turn around this model, I can see that it has some details in the back. If I now switch to the simplified configuration, I can see that some of these details are removed. So this simplified model will have less graphic triangles, basically. So what I will do is to just switch back to the other configuration, because it's a top assembly that actually decides which of these configuration that is in use, as you probably know. So I'll just go out of this part, and I'll go back to the assembly, and I'll just go to this USB outlet part and change the configuration to simplified and press OK. I will also do a rebuild of the assembly so that it refreshes the information which is in the performance evaluation window. I'm going back to the performance evaluation window. The number before was 38,000, and now it has become smaller. But how small? It is like 15,000. So just by switching to simplified configuration, I'm able to largely limit the number of graphic triangles in the part. So that's a tip for you. Use performance evaluation to get more information about what you can do to sort of make the assembly behave better. All right. So I think the next, Thomas is having a tips and tricks session.
This is a drone. We are working with this, and as you can see, we have some colors around on this parts that we have included in our drone. And if I want to remove or change some colors, you can do that on the appearance button here. I'm going to switch to my other configuration where we have played around with the colors, and sometimes you end up with a lot of colors and you need to reset it. You want to start over, and how to do that on the easiest way, it's to right click on the top of your feature tree and you will find this appearance. When I click on this drop down arrow, I will see that I can remove all component appearance, or I can remove all appearance. If I use all component, then I will remove all the color that we have added inside the assembly. So you can see now it's much cleaner. If I use the remove all, then it removes all the colors that we have added also on the part level. So then it's back to SolidWorks startup color. Next we are going to look at is like this. We have a hole pattern here. If I'm going to add a new, I can use my hole wizard or hole series or whatever. I can take the hole wizard like this, and I can still use the slot. Pick the face, and I will add a slot here. Now we can see that this cuts through the parts inside the assembly, but it's not transferred to the other arms that are in the pattern. So an easy way to do that is if I go into edit and I add the check mark for propagate featured part. Then this slot will be added to the pattern and all the way down to the part level. And I can do the same with this existing hole pattern. I can edit, I can check the propagate featured part, OK. And we will now see that everything goes down and also on the part level. On this part, I really would like to fix up the surface. I want to have a curved ending of this one. So I can use my revolved surface. This is created earlier. Many ways to solve this problem, but this is one of them. And I can go to my surface menu and I can say replace surface. Then I will take the flat surface and I want to change it to the revolved surface, and then we have the nice curved ending on this one. Quite easy to do. And now we can add a fillet. To round up the design a bit. So, some tips and tricks. Now we will change back to Lars.
Thank you. We're going to look at drawings and some news there in 2022. In drawings, you have probably experienced that some drawings can become quite large, and so this submersible is no exception there at all. The drawing is quite big, and what you can do in this case is to use the detailing mode. So the detailing mode, I think it came 1 or 2 versions back. It enables you to do a lot of things with your drawing. You can insert blocks like this. You can sort of populate your views with the nodes and dimensions and many other things that you need in a drawing. So you can do a whole lot of things with detailing mode. So I really recommend you to use that if you are having a problem with really large drawings and performance. It also works with now in 2022 with drawings saved earlier. So in this case, we have a drawing saved in SOLIDWORKS 2001, and you can also use detailing mode on that, which is a very nice thing. Some news with the dimensioning. You can now toggle between radius and diameter measurements in drawings, much easier than before. You can also now dimension revolved surfaces or cylindrical surfaces easier using this symmetric linear diameter dimension, which you see here. You also have a new, and this is quite a big news, I think, for those who do geometric tolerances. You have a new interface for that actually, and it really has a lot of stuff that you can add to your geometric tolerances, the nodes. And it's just completely redesigned. Really useful for those of you who work with that. And you can add, remove things, and it's really much easier to work with geometric tolerances in 2022. Another big news for some of you is that you can now add cut list information from a weldment or a sheet metal component into any BOM type in a drawing or anywhere else that you have a BOM. Which is quite nice for those of you who work with the mixed assemblies. And you can also insert bend lines on predefined views in a drawing if you use that. Quite useful to speed up generation of drawing of sheet metal parts. All right, so these are some of the news with drawings in 2022, and the next thing, which is we have a question round, but I think actually we are having a poll, Sarah, isn't that true? Yeah. So we go back to questions in a little while, but we first want to ask you a couple of questions. So we are asking, which functions do you like best so far? Is it draft in 2 directions? Is it the new function on the S key short key or S key short key menu? Is it the new configuration table or the redesigned coordinate system feature? So which one of these do you like best so far? So I think it's almost 100% who says that they like the new function on the S key. And I have to agree, actually, that it is really a huge improvement, and it will really speed up working with SOLIDWORKS quite a lot, I think, for many of you. All right, so I think now it's time for a little break. We'll take a little break, and we'll be back in 10 minutes. We'll see each other in 10 minutes.